I'm going to model a proof paragraph for you. How to use a number line to find the absolute value. I chose to use proof paragraph with my students in a small group because I was working on them realizing that reading in math is very important, and being able to write helps you become a better reader, especially in the math area. I wanted them to see that what they were doing mathematically could be put into words for somebody to interpret and get the same outcome. I wanted them to see that it would help them interpret their textbooks a little bit better. So that was the purpose of me choosing the proof paragraph strategy. Math, I like for them to draw a circle up here. And that circle represents their opening sentence. So I'm just going to put opening right there. Then I take their paper and I make a T-chart. And on this side we put sentences. And on this side we put the steps. And then at the bottom I put another circle. What do you think that represents?
Conclusion.
The conclusion or the closing. So I'm going to start my paragraph. So I'm going to come up with my first sentence. I'm going to make it finding the absolute value of a number. Now notice, right there I could have used a little number symbol, but since I'm writing a paragraph, if I do that in my graphic organizer, I need to make sure I do what when I write my final copy? Put the actual word. Right, put the actual word. We don't abbreviate, we use text writing in a proof paragraph. Of a number can be done by using a number line. Better stay on target with absolute value and number lines. I've got to think about that. That's what I'm thinking. I can't get off target. I feel that the lesson went very well. They were taking they were taking information in a chart, taking it to a graph, and then they had to write the proof paragraph explaining what they did, how they did it, and the fact that they did not lose any of the data, what the data represented in their proof paragraph. So I thought they did a very good job, and I thought their vocabulary used was phenomenal. They were really pulling out a lot of math terms, which is what I wanted. So I'm going to put that in the sentence. First, draw a number line. That's a very simple sentence. What kind of word is this? Just showing me what? Transition words is what you talk about in language arts. So that was my first step. Now, what do you think might be my next step?
Put your fingers on 5, make 0 and count from 5.
Okay. So I'm going to count from 0 to what number?
-5.
To -5. So here's 0, there's -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. When I get there, what am I going to do?
Mark it and then...
Okay. I'm going to mark it. The number that is inside the absolute value symbol on the number line. That's exactly what I did, correct? I took the number that was here and I plotted it on the number line. Have I found the absolute value yet? No, I haven't. I still have to do another part. Okay? We're going to draw little humps. Okay? So I'm going to start at 0 because absolute value is distant from 0 to the number. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right here I'm going to put red. So let's put what we just did into words. Give me a transition word. Then, like that one. I could have said first, second, third. So then what?
Draw little humps from 0 to the number and the absolute.
Okay? But while I'm drawing, what did you see me do? Going,
Mark my number of steps.
You count.
Wait,
I counted. Great verb. Count. What?
Each number.
my number of steps from 0.
Each time you stop at a hump, like each time you make a hump, you stop.
Count each number between 0 and the number that's in the absolute value zone, right? Including it, okay? So then count the number of spaces from 0 to the number which occurred in the absolute value symbol. Now, what did I get?
You got absolute.
Hmm?
You got your absolute value.
I got the absolute value, okay? Absolute value of -5 is 5 because -5 is 5 spaces from 0 to -5, which is the distance. What did I do that clarified that I could find the absolute value?
You told him how you worked it out.
I did what?
You gave your answer.
I gave my answer, but I also included what word?
The distance.
Distance. That let my teacher know I understand the absolute value is the distance from 0. I restated the same thing, okay? Now let's bring in the number line part here, okay? Okay, because -5 is 5 spaces from 0 to -5. What could I put right here to bring in right that?
Using the number line.
On the number line. Now, I talked about finding absolute value number can be done by using number line. Okay? Down here, I used an example to prove it. And then I stated that I found it using the number line and threw in the definition to back it up even more so our teacher knows I clearly understand what absolute value means. You've got to prove to me that you can take information from a chart and make a bar graph. Does that make sense? So what is your topic? What are you proving in this proof paragraph?
You can make a bar graph if you use.
Go on, you're right. I can make a bar graph doing what?
Users.
Using a chart, the information from a chart. It's just a different way to represent the information. Sometimes it's easier to understand a bar graph than it is to understand a chart for people. It's a more a visual clue, especially if I started asking questions like, which had the most water, which had the least, which weighed the most, which weighed the least, what was the range from the highest and the lowest. If, like I did with this, I would suggest that you start this type of proof paragraph in a very small group. And I broke it down and added a T-chart to it so that they could see the math process on one side and that in written words. And that was like their organizer for going back to write the paragraph. So I would take it in small groups with some kind of graphic organizer to help them see the relationship between the math and the words and increase that vocabulary. Give them vocabulary charts or help them with the vocabulary so that they come up with a better and not so vague mathematical expression of what they were trying to say. First sentence doesn't have to match anybody else's sentence. But make sure what you write as your opening is what you prove in your details. And that then you bring your whole paragraph together with a what?
Conclusion.
A conclusion that restates in a different way what you did for yourself. First, I did this, and I did that, and then you can think about how to word it. Now I want to know. Draw out the bar graph with titles. Exactly what did you do to draw? What did you draw?
X and Y axis.
Exactly. Could you tell me that? Because this is very vague.
Yes, ma'am.
Be very specific.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why as you do it, if you do this, think, okay, how can I put that into words? What am I doing next? Do I need to do this? How can I put that into words?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you're being very specific with your steps. Can you tell me what that might be called? See, I like this. I like where you use the y-axis. You might want to tell me the y-axis is which way, horizontal, vertical. Does that make sense?
Like a right angle or?
Perfect. Looks like a right angle with what? L-shaped face, angle. It takes a lot of time for them to do a proof paragraph, so you've got to really plan well and give them that time. Because they've got to process what you're asking them for. They've got to get some kind of graphic organizer down, and then they've got to sit there and put that into writing and get feedback from me and from somebody else before they can come up with the finished product. So it takes a long time, and it's not something you might want to do all in one class period. You may want to break it down and say, today, I want you to solve the problem. Just solve it. The next day they come in and go, oh, this is what I did, and this is what I did, and this is what I did. And just build on it from day to day. And it does get faster once they learn how to do it because they know what you're expecting of them. So I think just planning and going slow at the beginning. You all are really off to a great start. I see that you're using great action verbs. You're really starting to think about what actually did I do? What actually did I do? It's hard to put things into words. It's hard to write some kind of manual for somebody, step by step, where they can understand it. But that's exactly what you're kind of doing here. You're writing step by step. Tell us one thing you learned today that's going to help you improve your writing about explaining math problems or procedures.
You and be very descriptive, so it's easy to understand.
Don't use you, but be very descriptive. You're going to swap with a partner in the group, and they're going to critique you and give you some suggestions, okay? And then you're going to come back and write your final paragraph. I love proof paragraph. I love doing it with my students. I think it is excellent in math. I think it takes them that one step further for justifying and evaluating because they have to reflect on what they did. So I think it gives them that final piece. It makes them bring their thoughts to a final closure when they have to write that proof paragraph. And they have to think, hey, look at all I really did in there. Look how much math I know. And for a lot of the lower level students, it makes them feel proud of themselves because they don't realize that they know as much as they do. And so it makes them feel good about themselves, and it encourages them to try even harder when we are learning new concepts.